Hello, and welcome to this T-Level Tactics video for Root Core 1 Business Context of the T-Level Digital Support Services course. This is the 16th video where we're looking at codes of conduct. So in this video, we're going to identify the concepts of industry standards and professional practice. We're going to explain the purpose and contents of codes of conduct, and we're going to compare some types of codes of conduct and where they could be used. So before we get started, these videos are not endorsed or sponsored by any education institution or qualification awarding body, and T-Level Tactics videos should not be used as a replacement to any classroom learning, as the discussion and practical activities with your peers and lecturer will help to expand your thinking and comprehension. Instead, these materials are best used as preparation material or revision to reinforce your learning. And if you're studying the T-Level Digital Business Services course, this content works for you too, but it is going to be more contextualized towards IT support roles. Let's get started with our first topic. So, what's professionalism? And what defines professionalism in a job role? Well, some people would define professionalism as having good communication skills, dressing appropriately, being punctual, reliable, things like that. But there are a variety of job roles in the UK that have regulatory bodies who set out what is expected of you in these roles. And you often have to be a member of these bodies to work in that respective field. Here are some examples. Nurses have to be a member of the Nursing and Midwifery Council. Solicitors will be a part of the Law Society. Pilots will be members of the Civil Aviation Authority. And doctors will be registered with the General Medical Council. And there's many, many more of these regulatory bodies. In fact, there's a complete list of regulated bodies for professions available on the gov.uk website, and you can find that link here. Now, there are also jobs that don't have a regulatory body, but still have a professional institute or a society that seek to support different professions. And these professional bodies will have their own standards that they create in collaboration with their members. They can also help to provide support and training to practicing professionals. Now, the difference with a professional body is that you don't have to be a member of these to work in the industry, but it can have their benefits. So, for example, if you work in IT, you could become a member of the British Computer Society. More specifically, if you're a software developer or work in data analytics, you could become a member of the Institution of Analysts and Programmers. Now, those are very specific, but there are professional bodies for all different sorts of work and industries in the UK. There's even one for dinosaur archaeologists, known as the Paleontological Association. That was a little bit difficult to say, I'm going to be honest. So regulatory and professional bodies set industry standards. And if you're a member of one of these bodies, you usually agree to follow and abide by these standards in your work. These standards can help to promote ethical behaviour, consistency, accountability, and promote professional development within the industry. Let's take a look together at the standards set by the British Computer Society, set out in their Code of Conduct for BCS members. You can find it on their website at this address here. So here's the BCS Code of Conduct. And we can see that it's split into 4 different sections. But at the top, it says that this Code of Conduct sets out the professional standards required by BCS as a condition of membership. And it applies to all members, irrespective of their membership grade, the role they fulfill, or the jurisdiction where they are employed or discharge their contractual obligations. And the 4 sections it splits these guidelines into is public interest, professional competence and integrity, duty to relevant authority, and duty to the profession. There are some interesting things in this Code of Conduct, and I recommend that you go and take a look at it in some detail and spend some time reading through it on the BCS website. So this code of conduct sets out the positive characteristics that workers in IT should have, according to BCS. There's also a specific part on professional practice. Professional practice is about more than just doing the job well. Effective professional practice includes the ability to reflect on yourself, evaluating your skills and abilities, and making efforts to continually develop and improve your skills. Take a look at this line in the BCS Code of Conduct. It's in Section 2 on professional competence and integrity. And it says, "You shall develop your knowledge, skills, and competence on a continuing basis, maintaining awareness of technological developments, procedures, and standards that are relevant to your field." It's all about making sure that you have the right skills and knowledge for the job as time goes on. So effective professional practice is the development and maintenance of knowledge, skills, attitudes and behaviors, communication, professionalism, collaboration, compliance, ethics, and your ongoing professional development. If you're a Patreon member, we can take a look at Task 1 on the task sheet available from patreon.com/T-Level Tactics. Download that one, take a look at the first task. It's a short one on industry standards, and it will only take you about 10 minutes. Pause the video here, have a go at Task 1, then come back and we'll move on to Part 2 of the video. Let's move on to codes of conduct. Now we have looked at a code of conduct from a professional body now. We looked at the BCS Code of Conduct. Businesses and organisations will also have their own codes of conduct, how their employees should conduct their work day to day. And employment codes of conduct are often a condition of employment with a business or organisation. And breaking a code of conduct may result in disciplinary procedures or dismissal. Codes of conduct set out standard working practices such as dress code, duties, start and end times, use of equipment facilities such as internet use, email policies and things like that, access permissions to data and systems and ensuring there's GDPR compliance, confidentiality, ethical principles, and how employees support and contribute to the organisation's goals, objectives, and values. We're going to take a look at an example. Many organisations make their policies and procedures available for public viewing and for transparency. Some will post their codes of conduct as well, and it's useful to have a look through these if you're looking to be hired at that particular organisation. We're going to take a look at IBM's Business Conduct Guidelines, and that's available at this address here. So this is just the opening page of the guidelines, but we can get a bit of an overview of what's contained. There are sections on ethics and compliance, protecting IBM employees and assets, respecting intellectual property rights, and ensuring that employees are not copying the work of other businesses or organisations. There's a section on treating others ethically. There's a section on legal obligations. And there's an interesting section about keeping personal interests separate from business responsibilities. Particularly in IT, employees often like to have their own personal projects as well as the stuff they do at work. So this section is about making it really clear what is the work for IBM, what is the work for yourself. Some points to note in this, among others. Section 1.7, speaking publicly and social media usage. 2.5, guarding against cyber threats and an employee's duty about that. As I noted already, 7.1, acting on your own time. And 7.3, steering clear of insider trading, which is to do with stock and share trading and making sure that you don't create a profit on that based on knowledge that other people may not have. So these guidelines apply to all employees at IBM. And depending on the job role, IBM will use these business conduct guidelines in combination with other policies such as data protection, an IT code of conduct, and a health and safety policy. So if you're a Patreon member, it's time to take a look at Task 2, which is all about codes of conduct. So head back to the task sheet and have a go at that second task. This one's going to take you about 20 minutes. So pause the video here, head to the task sheet, have a go, and then come back and we'll move on to the third section of the video. So we've looked at two different types of code of conduct so far. We've looked at professional codes of conduct, where we looked at a professional body, such as BCS. We've looked at an organizational code of conduct from IBM. There's also a third type. Governments can also set and make use of codes of conduct for specific things. They're slightly different to the two we've seen before, although they may use those in a different way as well. Let's look at an example. The UK government has a technology code of practice, and you can look that up on the gov.uk website here, gov.uk/guidance/the technology code of practice. Make sure you include those hyphens. Let's take a look. So here's just the contents of that technology code of practice, but we can see that it talks about things like spend controls, how we meet user needs, keeping things secure and privacy, collaboration, integrating and adapting technology, purchasing strategies, sustainable technology. There's lots of things in here that will look somewhat familiar to us when we've looked at meeting user needs and requirements, and also bits from the ITIL framework as well. Now, the technology code of practice isn't specific to a single job role in government, nor the conduct of employees in the UK government either. Instead, it lays out guidelines to be used across all departments of the UK government. And for an idea of the size of that organisation, that's 3.7 million staff as of March 2024 that work all across the United Kingdom. So these codes of conduct exist to ensure the government is operating with impartiality, preventing conflicts of interest, ensuring value for money for the taxpayer, is sharing best practice between departments, and is providing a method to implement new technology. For more about that, take a look at the service standards section of that technology guidelines that we've looked at. So for Patreon members, time for that comparison task back on the task sheet. Have a go at this task. It is comparing 3 different codes of conduct, so it's going to take you a bit longer, about 45 minutes for that one. So pause the video here, have a go at task 3, and then come back, we'll summarise what we've done so far, and we'll finish things off with an exam question. Okay, so in this video we've identified the concepts of industry standards and professional practice, we've explained the purpose and contents of codes of conduct, and we've compared some types of codes of conduct and where they might be used. Let's have a go at an exam question. Explain the importance of a code of conduct in a professional setting. Provide 3 specific examples of how a code of conduct can benefit both individuals and the organisation. There are 6 marks available here. And that brings us to the end of this video. In the next video, we'll be taking a look at malicious activity. For those of you watching on YouTube, that will be the final video for Root Core 1 Business Context. But for Patreon members, there'll be one more video afterwards that's exclusive just for you. So make sure you're subscribed at youtube.com/@tleveltactics to be notified of the next video on malicious activity. And if you're not a member of Patreon yet, head over to patreon.com/tleveltactics and you'll be notified of when that exclusive Patreon-only video is available for you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.